The first speaker for the second half of our event will be Kaitlyn Fox, and she'll be talking about the elimination of stress, something that we all want. So I want you to please welcome Kaitlyn Fox.
Monday morning. I look like a zombie. The night before, I had feverishly written my English essay, and that lasted past midnight. Brain fried, I did the German homework during break, and during lunch, I missed a club meeting for choir. After school, I stumbled through a musical rehearsal which I hadn't prepared for, then proceeded to go home and start texting my friends. After dinner, I checked for homework due. The next day, still texting. I did half of it. The other half I did in class. The day it was due. Now, this is obviously not an ideal situation, but this has happened to me on multiple occasions. And while this exact scenario isn't frequent, I'm constantly doing things hectically at the last minute. Just from this short story, you can learn a lot about me. One of my many problems is prioritizing. When I put socializing and leisure above schoolwork and studying, it builds up stress. It's sometimes difficult to recognize stress. Some people say it's just a one-time thing or it's part of the experience. But stress is important to acknowledge. In the times of the caveman, the human body developed physical responses to stressful situations. For example, a man could be innocently picking berries and suddenly come face to face with a tiger. His heart would beat faster, his blood pressure would rise, and other changes would occur to help level the odds between him and his attacker. He can now run from the tiger, and should they need to fight, it's a little more fair. Unfortunately, this response isn't always helpful in modern situations. For example, there's a big test that a student isn't prepared for. When he sits down for the exam, his heart beats faster, his blood pressure rises, and similar changes occur as to the caveman. He can now run from the classroom, and should he need to fight the teacher on the way out, it's a little more fair. As you can see, this response isn't appropriate, which leads to pent-up energy inside of him, causing more stress. Some people release stress through sports. I know my mom runs a lot, and she always comes back feeling refreshed. This is because exercise releases endorphins in your body, which ultimately make you happy. Another way to help is something I learned from the 2001 film Mean Girls. You can even learn something from some of these mindless movies. It's about a 16-year-old girl who had moved from being homeschooled in Africa to a large public high school in the US, and how she was pulled into a social whirlpool and her life got totally out of control. When she became aware of the crazy socialite she was becoming, she decided to turn her life back around. In this process, she said something that really stuck with me. When you get bit by a snake, you're supposed to suck out the poison. Well, that's what I had to do, suck all the poison out of my life. For her, it was approaching the people she had hurt, as well as those who had hurt her, and making amends. My method was slightly different. I interpreted the quote to literally mean the removal of my stress source, starting with my phone. I used to text all the time, and I mean starting from the second school got out until I fell asleep at midnight, phone in hand. Luckily, my parents noticed and set some guidelines. No texting from 4:30 to 7 p.m., so my friends and I could have some study time and dinner in peace. Also, before bed, which is now much earlier, I have to leave my phone in the kitchen to charge. As much as I hate it, this ends up really contributing to not using my phone as much. My next problem was my computer. There's this free Mac app my sister told me about, Self-Control. It's supposed to help people avoid distracting websites. You set a period of time to block for, add sites to your blacklist, and click Start. For that time, no matter what you do, you won't be able to access those sites. Not even a computer restart or application removal can change it. It's very helpful to keep yourself on track. Now, you may notice that these examples revolve around electronics, and for many teens, that's what causes stress most often. However, my next tip works for everyone. A useful trick is to keep in mind the time and your deadlines. Even while writing this speech, I had distractions at hand, texting people, catching up on TV shows, and more. Through it all, though, I kept thinking, this talk isn't going to write itself. Which leads me to my final point. To effectively remove stress, you need proper motivation. Nobody likes being stressed, so there's already one good reason. But many people attempt to change because it's the right thing to do or it's affecting the people around me. These are good things to consider, but you shouldn't work on your life for other people. You should work on it for you. Everyone has different struggles with stress, and they take effort to overcome. You have to, though, not because it's the right thing to do, but because it will make you happy. And that's what we all want, right? So make it happen. Suck the poison out. Remove the stress. Be happy. Thank you.